Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Henry van Rooyen here from H3 Lofts. Just a quick update on what's going on in the loft. So I'm trying to document as much as possible our little journey into 2024, into the pigeon racing season coming up. So it was quite enjoyable and it's quite exciting times as the pigeon season is now approaching us very soon. On the 16th of May we have our mock race at the club. So today is the 12th of April, and so we're not far off from actually racing. It's a little bit more than a month, so we really need to get going. So what happened today was we actually cleaned the lofts again and we did our normal routine. They had a bit of a fly around the loft and the normal things. But this morning when I woke up, as I usually do, the first thing that I do is when I actually inspected the perches and checked the droppings, and lo and behold, I find some grain on the perches, which means that is usually a sign of vomit. Pigeon vomit on the perches is indicative of a sign of possible young bird disease, and I was quite discouraged this morning when I saw this. So it doesn't seem to be much of a problem at the moment, but it might be a sign of troubles to come. So it's something we'll have to monitor closely. My initial plan was actually to give our first toss tomorrow, a short toss just close to home, to train them and get them used to the baskets. But now, after seeing the vomit on the perches, I'm not so sure anymore if that is even a good idea. But yeah, they're still quite lively. And I might postpone the tossing even a few days more. But at some point we're going to have to get going with the training because time is running out. And at some point you have to kind of bite the bullet and make sure they actually they're ready for the road. But we're going to give them a fair chance as much as we possibly can. Give them a chance to get home, give them a chance to molt and mature as much as humanly possible, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, so just a quick tip for everyone else also, just be mindful in the morning when you go to your loft. Inspect your perches, make sure that everything is okay. It's best to actually check your perches early in the morning when they're sitting still, when it's still dark, so that you can inspect the droppings that haven't stepped on it yet or moved from perch to perch, and also before they eat the grain that's actually been vomited onto the perches. So young bird disease for me is one of those mysterious things. If you ask 10 different fanciers their opinion on young bird disease, you're going to get 10 different answers, and no one seems to have a bit of consensus on what exactly young bird disease is. It seems to be a broad term for many things, but from the literature that I've actually read, and as far as I understand, it seems like it's a combination of viral infections and bacterial infections. On the viral side of things, it seems like the circovirus is the main culprit, and that causes secondary infections in the pigeons, bacterial infections, and those are actually the killers. So to navigate your way around young bird sickness can be difficult, and we all seem to get it at some point in time. But what I've experienced, if you vaccinate your pigeons with the correct vaccinations, for paramyxo that is, like we do with the Nobilis PMV1, even though it's a paramyxo vaccination and it's not a vaccination against young bird, but it does seem to actually stimulate the immune system quite a bit. So they seem to have an immunity or an immune response much quicker than normal, and they do get it, but they over it quite quickly. Because if I look at the birds, I definitely had some issues this morning or yesterday, and so if they are affected, they're not quite affected to the full extent yet, or they've got very slight symptoms, and also seems to only affect young pigeons, younger than 10, let's say 10 or 6 months, between 6 and 10 months. The mature pigeon seems to be more resilient to it, as we all know, but so it's something to take care of. It's definitely not something I want in the racing season. If I am going to get young bird disease in my loft, which seems it might possibly be here now, I'll rather get it now before we start training, before we start racing, get it over and done with, and move on with our lives. So how do we treat young bird disease? In reality, there's not much you can do about it. You can only treat the secondary infections. There are no known treatments for any viral infections other than vaccinations, of which there is no vaccinations against circovirus available, certainly not in my area or here in South Africa that I know of. Maybe if there is, I would love to know, but as far as I know, there's no effective vaccination against circovirus. So the only thing you can do once you get it is to navigate the disease. I've had it quite severe in the past as well. So the only thing you can actually do, I like to, when they all get it and they start vomiting and start getting sick, to avoid them from getting very thin, I take away all grains and I only feed them the chicken pellets. So the reason I feed them the chicken pellets only is that they seem to digest that very easily, and they won't vomit it up, and it absorbs the water, so that they won't dehydrate and they won't go thin, and they seem to be easy on their digestive system. So when you do have vomiting pigeons in your loft, it's a good idea to take away the grain, and then also give them the pellets, and make sure they've got enough water to drink, something in the water such as Viramune or Viroban, or a good multivitamin. The kefir or the probiotics in the water is also, on top of the food, is also a good idea to keep. But you are gonna, if you have secondary infections, you are gonna have to treat those. So when I say secondary infections, from what I've experienced, it usually take the form of either coccidiosis, which is the parasite that lives within the loft, ornithosis, paratyphoid, canker. So it's all the bacteria and bugs that's already within your loft, but your pigeons have got a resistance to, and they don't manifest. But they maak my seer. Kom. They don't manifest quite yet. So it's something that you just need to look out for. And then what you can treat, I recommend amoxicillin-based multi-organism treatment, something like YBD 7-in-1 or YBD 4-in-1, which has a strong amoxicillin, erythromycin, and sometimes even a bit of doxybiotic, but with the biggest component of the amoxicillin to fight the paratyphoid element, because that is what actually is the biggest killer in the loft. Give that in the water for at least 5 days, and then they should be fine after. And obviously don't put them under stress during that time. Don't toss them, don't train them hard. We're going to only lose them. So I've got, it seems like an issue starting with young bird, but I haven't put anything in the water as yet. I've you can't see from this angle. It's just the milk and the vinegar solution. I might do a bit of hydrogen peroxide tomorrow. I'll still see what they look like. You can check my other videos on hydrogen peroxide. So at this stage, I don't think it's time to panic yet, but there are troubling signs this morning with the grain that I found on the purchase. So I'm actually just hand feeding them some whole grains, because I actually want to see if there is any vomiting happening, and because if they do tend to vomit in the early mornings or in the late or early evenings or early mornings, so then I'll get an idea if who is the culprits and who are the sick ones. So yeah, that's pigeon racing for you. It can't always just go sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you have to have a bit of issues, but you just have to be vigilant and, you know, wake up, or, you know, and to see if there's any problems and then treat it accordingly. So we'll see. So if everything goes well and I don't find any vomit this evening or tomorrow morning on the purchase, I might consider taking them out for their first toss. It won't be far. It will probably be just a few kilometers away from the home. In the beginning, when I toss them, the purpose is not to get them fit or anything. It's just to make them used to the basket, the sensation of actually being basketed and sitting in the basket, being transported, getting used to that kind of stress, and opening them up, having their routine coming home, and then we'll progress further and further as time goes on. So yeah, that is the plan. I'm hand feeding a few here, and they seem to still have a bit of an appetite. Most of them. And the first thing you'll notice with young bird disease, they'll lose appetite. That's the first sign of trouble, and that's usually when the paratyphoid's got hold of them already again. And the loft is still lively. Cocks are still fighting each other over perch space. But in my next section over there, I'm a bit worried. There's a quiet corner, so I'm going to get up quite slowly, and I'm going to walk towards those ones, and I just want to see, why have they not come down for a snack or two, which is worrisome. So just, I don't want to handle them too much, and have a look at the droppings that's in the purchase. We did clean the loft, so those are fresh droppings, which seems okay at this stage. But this bloke over here is usually not this quiet, and it's 546. I just want to see what's happening with him. He's fighting me. He's quite vocal. Let me just turn the phone around and see. I don't know if you guys can see, because I don't know what you. But damn it, we've got a damaged flight over here, which I'm gonna have to go and fix right now before this gets any worse. It's the 10th flight as well, so maybe that will be good to show you guys. Yeah, he seems to be fine. There's no food in the crop. Light, still soft, so that seems to be. He seems to be doing fine, but I think we're going to fix his flight now. You can have a look at that 10th flight. It's bent, so we're going to have to fix that with steam, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. But we're first going to inspect the other guys and see what's happening. Enjoying our milk and vinegar over here. I've put down fresh teff and spine needles and a bit of I've got no idea what you call lucerne in English, but yeah, so they seem to be enjoying it. So the pigeons still look in good spirit and good health. I don't think it's time to panic quite yet. But yeah, early signs of possible trouble that we need to be looking out for. So let's go fix that flight of that pigeon. Okay guys, like I said, here is the pigeon that needs to be fixed in terms of the feather. That needs a fixing up with the steam. So all you do is you take the feathers and you just put it over your kettle. Obviously you do it away from the body. It's only the steam on the feather. Feathers are mostly keratin and protein, so it should start bending now. And you can see, let's see what it looks like. Already you can see the feather took back its normal shape. So we fixed a bended feather with steam. And that's what you can do when you have a damaged feather. Thank you. Alright, tune in tomorrow. Thank you.